Welcome to Watch the Booker Man and to the 5th night of the Kurt Angle Heroes of Wrestling Tour. I'm hoping this can be the show that gets us on some sort of a good track. It seems like it's been disaster after disaster, at least one or two things going wrong in each show so far. The last two were considerably better than the first two. The two in New South Wales were really poor. We're getting more close to what we would like to be, but I'm hoping that we can continue to build on that and put on an even better show tonight. There was a minor incident before the show, Enzo being taken to wrestle court, but that's a pretty common occurrence, and it's in no way on the level of Big Cass being sent home or Ryback trying to fight a fan, so nothing too bad as we go into what I hope can be a show that runs smoothly and everything goes well, and hopefully set this upstart promotion back on the right track. And we begin with a good segment. Kurt Angle comes out to do his usual introduction of the show, but Ryback comes out and he wants things clearing up. Last week, he won a steel cage match against Rusev, but that wasn't how he wanted it to go down. He's watched the footage back and Rockstar Spud screwed Rusev out. He didn't want it to go that way, and he wants a fair fight against Rusev. But Kurt Angle says that won't be happening tonight because he and Rusev will be teaming against a former tag team champion team that are making their first appearance in the company tonight. So we're not saying who that team is, but they have held championships in the WWE umbrella before, and it's a very, very good start to the show. I made sure this was only 5 minutes so we didn't get that negative note about it going too long. I was thinking I might change the product for the shows going forward just so it might let me off. I think different types of sports entertainment products can allow you longer segments, and that is what I'd prefer. The performance of Kurt Angle was good. We got the crowd hotter, and it's a strong start to the show. All positives for that segment. As we go into the opening match of the night, and No Way Jose teams with Heath Slater and Rhino, following up what happened last week when Enzo Amore, Mike Bennett and Lio Rush attacked the pair and then took out No Way Jose. And it is the heels who win when Big Cass makes his return. He, of course, got sent home before the previous show, but he didn't do anything wrong tonight, so we've had him appear, and hopefully the follow-up to this doesn't result in me having to send him home again, and actually Big Cass can have a couple more matches. He is in a match later tonight. Nothing really remarkable about the performances. We do advance the storyline for these guys, and after the match, Maria officially dubs them the Essential Superstars. This is now a 4-person stable: Mike Bennett, Lio Rush, Enzo and Cass. Probably 4 of the more despised characters on our roster, so I think putting them together as a strong heel faction is a good thing. Mike Bennett not doing well, but Maria, as she so often does, improvising really well and probably carrying the segment. We then get a promo for Rockstar Spud. It says he's cutting a promo hyping his match with Rusev, but he's actually just talking about Rusev and making light of the fact that he screwed Rusev over on the last show. He did it for Ethan Carter, and he is so proud of himself. The smile's knocked off his face when Chris Hero, his opponent, comes out, but Rockstar Spud improvising well, and it is another good segment. It is the angles that are going to help us overall. That's why I want the opportunity to have longer angles so that our ratios are more weighted towards angles, and that way we can get better ratings overall. In a match that didn't have much heat and had terrible wrestling, Chris Hero defeats Rockstar Spud in just under 8 minutes with a rolling elbow. Rockstar Spud, he's not going to pick up many wins, but he's an entertaining part of the roster. I'm a big fan of Spud, Drake Maverick, and as far as a character's concerned, he's always going to have a prominent role, but in terms of matches, I don't think his character needs to pick up too many wins, and Chris Hero, I think, is helped by picking up a strong victory here. A disappointing segment in terms of the improvising, but it's actually still okay. Like I said, angles are considerably better than our matches that we're putting on, and Cass is confronted in the back by Kurt Angle, who's angry to see him, but tells him that since he's here, he's going to compete tonight, and he is barring every single member of that so-called Essential Superstars stable from ringside. The third match of the night sees 2 non-WWE alumni face off, but they are both Australian and put in, well, Madison Eagles puts in a good performance. Erick Reed pretty much average for this roster, but Madison Eagles continues to be a shining light as we continue to build to that Tenille v Madison Eagles match. When they cross paths, Tenille's coming out for her match, Madison Eagles is leaving after hers, and they have a brief stare down, just a little subtle continuation of their issues, and Tenille Dashwood picks up a win over Crazy Mary Dobson. And during the match, just to continue to put over that they're pretty much heels at this point, Summer Rae does a little bit of distracting of Crazy Mary Dobson. It's nothing too much that it influences how the match goes, but it is enough that the referee has to warn her and tell her off. The two have a good chemistry, so that probably improved the match. Tenille Dashwood with a 26, you would hope for better. I do think she's better than that, but she ends the hour celebrating once again. Her and Summer Rae stood tall in the ring. as we come back for a promo from Mick Foley, which again I would have thought better. I think he got a 66 rated promo last time, so I don't know what went wrong this time. Maybe, well, he improvised well, so yeah, no idea why it's so different. Maybe his overness is different in Victoria than it was in Queensland, but the point of his promo is that he announces the Hero of Australia title ladder match. On the next show, a selection of the top names in the company will all face off in a ladder match. A title will be hung from the ceiling, and the person who retrieves the belt will become the Hero of Australia champion. Big Cass then competes in his match and picks up a win. It was a wild brawl match, so an all-out fight between the two. We want them to go all around ringside and try and make it an entertaining match. These two aren't particularly technical workers or anything, but I think they could have a good brawl, and Cass brings a chair into play when the referee is distracted. This is what allows him to take control for the rest of the match, and he hits a East River crossing to Erick Rowan and picks up the victory. He stands tall alone. Of course, no outside interference because everybody was banned from ringside, all the Essential Superstars, but also Eric Young, who is Erick Rowan's tag team partner. We then get a promo to break up the next matches. Ethan Carter, he is on the big screen, and he's saying that his injury is worse than feared, and it is unlikely that he will be cleared to compete for the last night of the tour. I've done like 2 shows a week. If I'd have done 1 show a week by I think week 6, Ethan Carter would have been cleared to compete. Compressed it all into like 5 weeks, so it's unlikely that he's going to be able to wrestle. So I've basically paid him for all 8 of these shows, and he's not going to have a match. But he does put in a good performance, and his promos have undoubtedly helped the shows overall, so not too disappointed with that. And I do have an idea of something to do to kind of work around the fact that he can't work, but to get a nice ending to wrap up the storyline between him and Rusev. And he says that despite not being in that Hero of Australia match, he still feels that the people see him as the Hero of Australia, and for that reason he is bringing a representative for that title match, somebody who will be in that match but will be competing on his behalf, and if that person wins, Ethan Carter will be the champion. So just further building to that big main event next week, Ethan Carter doing well, improvising and adding heat to the storyline, so all good things from Ethan Carter there. As we go into another backstage segment, a very, very short 1-minute angle where Dianna Perazzo is seen getting into an argument with Tenille Dashwood and Summer Rae. She's not happy about the way they've been acting in the back. They're being big shots and thinking they're better than the other women on the roster, and Madison Eagles comes in and completely agrees with this. She backs up Dianna Perazzo and stops her from basically getting 2-on-1'd by Dashwood and Summer Rae, an argument between them that will probably set up a tag team match on the next show. A 3-way tag team match where I made sure to ensure that it wasn't an elimination match. I've now got a match in the database that is 1 fall to a finish tag team match, and that's because while Gallows and Anderson and Hawkins and Ryder are feuding, I didn't want to have them have their 3rd match just yet, so we've added the Colons in, and Gallows and Anderson steal the win from Hawkins and Ryder, pinning the Colons to take the victory. Zack Ryder with a good performance there, and Carl Anderson, we can see improvements steadily over the week, so that is a good sign to see, and I think 36 is an okay rating for the match. We just have to hope now that this main event delivers. And after the match, Gallows and Anderson celebrating on the ramp. They know full well what they've done, kind of screwed out Hawkins and Ryder, but not done anything outside of the rules. Hawkins and Ryder challenge them to a match next week. They're angry about the attack that happened on the last show, and they say that in that match anything will go. It's going to be a no holds barred, no DQ street fight style match between Gallows and Anderson and Hawkins and Ryder, probably the 2 best and strongest booked teams on the roster, and I think that'll be a decent match to go alongside that big title match we've got. Eddie and Orlando are then in the ring, and they look pretty they're not happy. They're downbeat about continually losing when things go from bad to worse, as the Ascension make their debut, running in and brutally dismantling Eddie and Orlando. This is an important segment. While it doesn't get a good rating, the 2 gimmicks are okay, and the idea is that we are trying to set them up as big threats because the Ascension are in the main event. They will be the team, the former NXT Tag Team Champions, facing Rusev and Ryback. This is a bit of a risk. They could be absolutely terrible and drag this match down, or they could be good. I've got no idea really. I didn't even check their overness when I signed them. So we'll see how this goes. It could be a very, very good main event, but nonetheless, we want them to look like the monsters that they were booked as early in their WWE run, more in NXT, and not sort of the complete jobber figures that they became. And it's an okay main event, actually. It could have been a lot worse, and we get a very encouraging performance from Ryback there. He has to be the favourite for that Heroes of Australia Championship match next week, because he's without doubt our best in-ring performer at the minute. The match got the crowd buzzing. We did it as Steal the Show, so I think they did okay. It's not too bad. It's about where we expect to be, and I hope that with the angles we've had, this can be one of our better shows. Terrible wrestling apparently, and not much heat, so you're not going to get a great rating there. But Ryback and Rusev pick up the win versus Conor and Victor. Ryback hits a shell shock to Victor in the middle of the ring, and Rusev tags himself in and locks in the accolade. Victor was already out, and Rusev just stole the victory. It wasn't a case of the accolade forcing Victor to tap out, it was just the referee saw that Victor wasn't conscious following the shell shock, and as a result called for the bell. So Ryback did the heavy work, but Rusev takes the credit for the victory, and he is celebrating over the top a little bit. Rusev has that personality where he can play the troll a little bit, and he's got a fun-loving personality, and he's purposely getting under the skin of Ryback, who we assume will be in that ladder match next week. Both of these will be vying for the championship, and actually Rusev's celebrations as he goes on the top rope is enough to sufficiently annoy Ryback that when Rusev comes back into the ring, Ryback kicks him in the gut, hits him with a shell shock, drops him in the ring and stands tall. Ryback defeated Rusev on the last show and now stands over him to end this show. Next week, that huge important match, a 37, so it's not as bad as the worst shows, not as good as the best shows, it's somewhere in the middle. Again, we don't have enough interesting storylines. I need to make more use of Kurt Angle and Mick Foley in these storylines. Maybe to put a Foley segment or a Kurt Angle announcement at the end, maybe him saying that both these men will be in the match. That could have got us a better rating, but I don't just want to put things in for the sake of it. Losing us popularity in 6 regions and gaining us in 22. I'm going to give, again, it's the same names really that we're giving praise to. Madison Eagles, good performance. Rusev did a good performance as well. And nobody else really... Zack Ryder I remember doing quite well actually. Zack Ryder gets praised. Yeah, but all 3 getting the same one, and they are pleased as expected. And we'll see how the pay-per-view buy rate and any other emails and notes and news that we get as we advance through. Santana and Ortiz leave the inner circle, interesting, but we'll see how our show did. Again, it's the same feedback that we usually get, less fans than we previously had, and the pay-per-view buy again continues to go down. I'm not surprised because the shows aren't really delivering in terms of ratings. Mick Foley doesn't like Big Cass. Again, that's the second match that Big Cass has had and the second comment that Mick Foley's decided to make. Again, we've got the lack of big names. It's the same old problems that we're having, the same old incidents coming up. But we do have another show planned very soon. I think it's 2 nights from this one. And that is going to have the big Heroes of Australia Championship match, which is going to be all the top guys I can think of to put in. Obviously, Rusev and Ryback, Mike Bennett, people like that. The people who, Chris Hero, people who've been booked fairly strongly will all be in that match. I think I'm going to have 6. I was thinking about maybe having 10, but I'm not sure the roster can stretch to that. So we're going to stick it to 6, I think, as well as having Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins versus Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, which I think will be another good match. And I'm hoping, fingers crossed at least, with a title match and with another decent match, as well as getting to grips a bit more of how to use Kurt Angle and Mick Foley more effectively, we can get a good show, and I'm hoping for this next one to be our best show yet.